Good morning. Good morning. So I just want to welcome everybody to our motivational Monday here. And yeah, so today's topic we're gonna talk about talent and why talent doesn't always win, right? And I think the misperception is that you get somebody in the room. Let's talk about the wrestling room. Let's say you get somebody in the wrestling room and this person comes in and they are just crushing it. One of the, they are top talent. You believe that they are never going to be beat. They are just crushing everybody in the room, and it starts to make you believe that you don't really have to put the work in. If you got talent, you're just ready to go, right? But what I've come to learn over the years is that's not always the case, right? Normally, what happens is the individual that's in the room that's putting in all the work, they're taking the time to learn those moves, they're putting in the extra hours, they are completely enveloped into getting better. They're the ones that are going to actually make change. They're going to become your great individuals. And I'm going to focus today's topic on wrestling and wrestling alone. So let's go back about 20 years. I had this kid about 20 years ago that was seventh grade. He was losing every single match, and the kid was getting pinned in the first period every single match. Like it was hard to watch, and I'm sure even more difficult for him to stay motivated, right? And you would go to him, you would tell him to try to push and make sure that make sure that things were going to get better, but it's hard to tell somebody that, and it's hard to keep them feeling that motivation without some sort of path forward, right? So how do we solve this? One thing the kid had was a lot of motivation. He wanted to get better. He wanted to push himself to that next level. Now, I want you to remember in seventh grade, he lost every match. Okay, so let's wrap up seventh grade and let's go forward. Over the next 9 months, 9 or 10 months, he took time to learn every move possible for that level. He put in effort to perfect those moves, thousands and thousands of reps. He was always in the wrestling room. He was always on a wrestling mat. He always wanted to get better. He was always asking questions. And over time, you started to see a little bit of progression. And I remember, it wasn't just the seventh grade matches. I mean, it was like 14 of those losses, right? But then there was another 21. I'll never forget. 34 total matches. 21 more matches, or 35 total matches. 21 more matches before he got his first win. And the thing was, when he got his first win, it was a celebration. Everybody was excited, but you could see that he didn't just beat a kid that wasn't very good. He actually beat a kid that was actually decent. Somebody that was capable of winning more. And the shift occurred. And from that point forward, he started winning matches. Now, he wasn't winning every single match, but he continued to push himself. He continued to learn more. He continued to be inquisitive. He continued to put in the effort, the time, all of those things to get better. Now, over the course of the next year, he started to go from winning a few matches to winning half the matches to winning the majority of the matches. And by the time the eighth grade year rolled around, he won his conference tournament at his weight class. Not only that, the kid went into high school and ended up being a 3-time state placer because he continued to put that effort in the entire time he was in high school. And that's what it takes. That's what it takes to become really, really good or great at something. Now, let's go back to these individuals that have all the talent. If you have all the talent and you put in the time and the effort, you can become great. That 1%er, that top 0.1 of that 1%, and become something special, right? But for those kids that don't have that top 0.1% talent, they can still become something great, right? So what I want to do is I want to tie this into real estate, and I want to talk about this a little bit. I see the same things in real estate. I get individuals that come into, my mentorship program, or, and I've seen them in some other areas, or we are, in some meetups, and we have these conversations about real estate. And, you get those that start out, boom, they're talented, they're ready to go, and they think that everything is just perfect, right? But that is that is not the case, because what normally happens is the exact same thing. Those people that naturally start with talent don't really struggle with anything, start to disappear. And they disappear because the things aren't coming easy. Now, the individuals that I have seen that comes into the world of real estate and start actually pushing themselves and reading the books and getting into the right groups, and, even taking part of the mentorship programs, those people are practicing just like these wrestlers are practicing, right? They're learning all the tricks of the trade. They're getting better. They're asking questions. They're pushing themselves to do more. And at the end of the day, those are the people that become special and great, and build out these massive portfolios. So what I want to leave you with is this. Remember that just because you don't have natural talent doesn't mean you can't become a great success. And on the flip side, just because you do have massive talent doesn't mean you're going to reach the top 1% of your field. Thank you for joining me today.